Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about why we think that growing a crazy, wild, weedy garden is the best thing that we could do to benefit our soil. So the Webster Dictionary definition of a weed is a plant that is not valued where it is growing and is usually of vigorous growth. So obviously these plants are of vigorous growth, but what if we could find value in where they are growing? Then would it not be a weed anymore? So I'm going to tell you guys about all of the reasons that we find these plants beneficial and why you might want to grow them and let them go wild as well. Okay, reason number one is it keeps your soil covered. It shades it. You don't want your soil baking in the sun. It's going to kill all the life in it. And maybe this is not an ideal ground cover, like an edible one that you'd choose, but it's going to shade your soil and keep it covered. So I want to show you like a little bare patch that we have, and you can see that there's just Florida sugar sand right here. And then I'll go over and show you where it's all weedy over here and show you what the soil looks like. If I could show you what the soil looks like down here. Alright, you can see that it's much darker. Okay, the second beneficial thing about weeds is roots in the ground at all different levels. A lot of weeds have really deep tap roots, and they call those dynamic accumulators, where they mine nutrients from way down below. Roots hold water, they give off sugars that the microbes eat, so it feeds the microbes in the soil, and they aerate the soil as well. So maybe the one con that I will admit to not really liking so much is that a lot of these weeds can get quite long, and if you're wanting to grow seeds in here, they can definitely shade them out. So what we do is we do use some mulch. We actually were able to get a truckload of wood chips, which is awesome. And then we dig it back and plant seeds in there. And then we will just cut away some of the grasses and lay them down as well so they don't shade out the seeds. Now I will say grassy mulch is better than wood chip mulch for a garden because the grassy mulch feeds more of the bacteria rather than the fungi, and the fungi is better for perennials and fruit trees and things, and the bacteria is better for annuals and gardens and things, but that's a whole totally different topic. Shade can also be a good thing. That's part of the reason I think this watermelon is doing so well in this full sun situation, is just because it's shaded for like half of the plant and it just pops out sometimes. Obviously it's able to photosynthesize, but it's kind of just, it's everywhere right there. But a lot of it is just in this shade being protected by all this grass. Okay, the fourth thing is that some of these weeds are edible. This should go without saying. Definitely don't eat anything if you don't know exactly what it is, 100% positive. But some of it is free food. For example, this right here is dollarweed or pennywort. I actually don't remember the Latin name. It's related to Gotucola, Centella asiatica, but it's not the exact plant. But this is just kind of pops up everywhere in our waterways mostly, and that is edible. And it's also very nutritious, and a lot of these weeds are, which brings me back to the dynamic accumulators that I was talking about. A lot of these weeds kind of just find their own nutrients from way deep down in the ground. And even if they don't have super long tap roots, a lot of them are super nutritious. So they make great mulches as they break down. They add those nutrients to the soil. You can also make like a swamp water, and I'm not going to tell you how to do that on this video. David the Good has really great videos on how to make swamp waters and things. Maybe we'll do one in the future. But you can get those minerals out of the plants by soaking them for a long period of time. But mulching them is a great way to use those nutrients as well. And then a lot of people will bring up, oh, but what about the seeds? To which I say, I don't care, I love it. Bring on all the seeds. Another thing is that a lot of these weeds are obviously natural to your area, and a lot of them will give you flowers, and that is super good for pollinators. We had a lot more flowers in here in the springtime. It's like July right now. And I will say, if you prefer the look of just a fully mulched garden with no weeds or extra plants that you don't want, I think that's totally beneficial as well. That mulch is going to break down and feed the microbes in the soil. I just think that it's a little bit more beneficial to let all of these plants grow, because there's going to be all these roots at all these different levels. I basically think of this soil just being covered in roots, I don't know how many feet down, but it seems just like a microbe paradise to me, whereas the mulch will kind of just feed them more at like a surface level. But if that's more your look, that's totally beneficial, and it's gonna make you an amazing garden as well. So definitely go for it if you think that looks better. And one more thing, I just want to say that this idea of growing the weeds is not beneficial whatsoever if you are not growing organically, just because this builds the life in your soil. And if you're using chemical fertilizers or synthetic fertilizers, you're just feeding your plants, you're not feeding your soil anyways. So there's really no point to have a healthy soil, to be completely honest. That's my opinion. And one more thing about growing organically, if you are buying in soil or fertilizers, be careful about the word organic, because it's not the same as organic food. They can put organic on the soil and the fertilizers, and it just means like organic matter, basically. It's a completely different definition of the word. What you want is natural, and the equivalent of soil to food is natural soil grows organic food. So I hope that makes sense. But that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please comment down below with any questions or suggestions. Tell me why you think I'm wrong and I'm crazy. But thank you so much for watching.